you, gentlemen, for joining me this evening. Let's get going. Mike, you first. Let's talk about the legal rights of the grieving families who had loved ones on that flight. Obviously, nothing can make up for the loss of life, but this tragedy also thrust a great financial burden upon these families. We talked about it a little bit earlier. This goes on beyond emotional distress. There's a big financial burden for these families.
No question. And I think before we talk about the legal aspects of this, there's the human aspect of it. And my condolences go out to these families. It's one thing to lose a loved one in a tragic accident. It's totally something else if the proof bears out that this was an intentional act by the co-pilot to lose them at the hands of a psychopath. So this is, you know, I'm as much disbelief about what happened here as anybody else. As a legal proposition for claims that families wish to make against Lufthansa and Germanwings, that is all governed by international treaty known as the Montreal Convention. It's also governed by European regulations. And it gets rather complicated, but in short, the carrier is responsible to the families for damages, monetary damages, which of course doesn't compensate the family for the loss of the loved one, but monetary damages based on where the case can be filed. So
but Mike, how long does that take? But is that going to take a while? Because now let's get more specifically. Let's talk about the financial burden now. If it's
right.
you know, it could be a husband who was a breadwinner. It could
Sure.
be a wife who was a breadwinner. I mean, I think Lufthansa now is going to start giving them incrementally some money, but still, you know, all their
under the law,
gone.
no question, and under the law, both European regulations as well as the Montreal Convention, the carrier is mandated to make advance payments to the family, humanitarian payments, to help bridge the gap between what's going on now and ultimate adjudication of their claims. Also, a claim like this, you know, we're only 2 days after the accident, and there's all these leaks as to what people believe happened, and some apparently incontrovertible evidence that of what happened. So it may well be that the cases will resolve through settlement before you go through a full court procedure. The major issue, I think, for the families from a legal standpoint is where they can file their claim, which courts have jurisdiction. And under the Montreal Convention, the way it would work out is the majority of these claims would have to be adjudicated against the carrier anyway. In Germany, maybe some in Spain. There are the 3 families in America that could pursue a claim in the United States courts because of the jurisdictional rights that they have under the convention.
All right.
But the measure of damages and the process will be so different. In short, a claim in the United States courts based on a measure of damages on American law for the wrongful death of loved ones is qualitatively different than the measure of damages in a German court.
I have to get